He came to buy groceries for his elderly neighbor. But when a white security guard accused him of stealing and threw a punch, he made one call that flipped the entire store upside down. What happened next left the entire parking lot frozen in silence. Before we begin the story, write in the comments where you are watching us from. You ever had one of those days that starts out so simple, so harmless, it's almost suspicious? That was me last Saturday. All I wanted was a damn bunch of groceries for Miss Rivera, the sweet old lady who lives next door, the one who still insists on calling me Mr. Marcus, even though I'm 30 years her junior. She broke her hip last winter slipping on her own welcome mat, and ever since, I make it a point to stop by with fresh things she loves. Salad greens, grape juice, those spicy peanuts she pretends give her heartburn, but eats anyway like it's medicine. So there I was, pushing a squeaky-wheeled cart through aisle 7 of Mart Plus, minding my own peaceful business. I had my list. I had my smile. Hell, I even had exact change. Just picked up a bundle of lettuce when I noticed him. The security guy. Tall, bony, buzz-cut, like he missed the military but not the power. He wore that uniform like he was guarding the Pentagon. Brad, his name tag said. Just Brad. Now I've seen that look before. The slow scan. The little squint. Like he smelled something out of place. And wouldn't you know, it was me. Hey! He barked loud enough for half the store to hear. What are you doing back here? I blinked. Just shopping. He moved closer like I said something offensive. This section ain't for loitering. You planning on paying for that? I have a cart, I said, raising both hands slightly, not because I had to, but because old habits die hard. Combat vet habits. De-escalation. Show me your bag, he snapped, eyes wide like he caught me slipping diamonds in my shoes. I tried being polite, tried staying cool. I don't have a bag. I just picked up. That's when he shoved me. Yup. Right there, in front of a whole bunch of people pretending to read nutrition labels like they weren't watching a scene unfold. My back hit the edge of the tomato display. A bunch of them rolled down like a red alarm went off. Don't you raise your voice at me, Brad said, stepping forward again, puffing up like a cartoon sheriff. You don't belong back here. Now hold on. That's the part that lit the fire. Not the shove. Not the look. But those 4 little words. You don't belong back here. Like the air in that store was reserved. Like decency had an access code I'd never be given. I'm here getting groceries for someone who can't walk, I said. I'm not here to cause a problem. He smirked. Not a smile, a smirk. Should have thought of that before showing up where you don't fit in. And then, yes, he really did it. The man balled his fist and threw a punch. Right in the aisle. Right in my face. Let me tell you something about getting hit when you know how to fight. It's not the pain that hits you first. It's the insult. The disbelief. I stood there, tasting blood in my mouth and dignity on the floor, and I saw the look in his eyes. Not regret. Not surprise. Satisfaction. A lady gasped near the canned goods. A young guy pulled out his phone, then, like clockwork, put it back in his pocket when Brad noticed. Another guy took a step forward, then quickly found something very interesting about the shelf of cornflakes. I didn't hit him back. That's important. I stood tall, adjusted my collar, looked him in the eye. I said, "Are you finished?" He blinked, just for a second. Then he said, "You better walk out of here before I make it worse." Worse? I picked up my phone, opened the contact list. No hesitation. Pressed one name, Raul Gutierrez. You ever have that one friend? The kind who doesn't ask questions, just asks, "Where?" He answered on the first ring. "Yeah? Mart Plus. East Side location. Right now." He paused. "You okay?" I looked back at Brad, who was still trying to look taller than he was. "Not yet." What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how this turned around, and who walked through that door 5 minutes later. You ever feel a shift in the air before it even happens? That's what hit me as I stood just outside the sliding doors of Mart Plus, holding my busted pride and a slow-burning ache in my jaw. The parking lot hummed with Texas heat, but my skin felt cold. Not from fear, from restraint. That kind of restraint only comes from years of learning how not to give folks an excuse. From knowing that if I had lifted a single finger back in that aisle, I would have been the one pinned to the floor. But I didn't. I made the call, and now I waited. 4 minutes, 33 seconds. That's how long it took. I heard it before I saw it. Low growl of an engine that didn't belong to the usual soccer mom traffic. A black Suburban, all matte, rolled in like it was looking for a reason not to stop. It didn't park. It arrived. You could feel the difference. Doors opened smooth, one by one. First came the driver, tall, thick-necked, wearing sunglasses that made the sun itself look away. Then another man stepped out, younger, in a blazer with his shirt unbuttoned, like Sunday didn't matter. Then Raul. Raul didn't dress loud, didn't move fast. But when he stepped out, the air shifted again. This was a man who walked like people listened when he said, "Now." Compact, solid. Gray streak in his beard like life tried him. And lost. He nodded at me once, then turned his head toward the store entrance. "Inside?" he asked, like he was asking about a weather report. I said nothing, just pointed. Right on cue, Brad came stomping out like he was still auditioning for a movie nobody wanted to watch. His face wrinkled the second he saw the three of them. But he kept walking. Pride's a tricky thing. "You folks need to leave the premises," Brad barked, hands hovering near his belt like he had something there worth reaching for. Raul tilted his head. "That how you greet customers now?" Brad blinked. "This area's private after hours. I'm going to have to ask." "You put your hands on Marcus," Raul said flat, as if he were reading a grocery receipt. Brad chuckled. This guy. He was suspicious. Didn't follow protocol. Raul took one slow step forward. "You hit a man shopping for someone else. And now you're talking about protocol." Brad's shoulders stiffened. "We don't have time for this. You need to leave." Raul snapped his fingers. The man in the blazer stepped forward, pulled out a tablet, and tapped the screen. A security cam feed lit up. Crystal clear footage of Brad's punch, my stumble, and the tomatoes spilling out like a red parade. Brad's eyes flickered. His voice cracked. "Where'd you get that?" "We see everything," Raul said, "even when folks pretend nobody's watching." Then came the paper. Raul reached into his inside pocket, not fast, not slow, and handed Brad an envelope. Brad took it, hesitated, then opened it with trembling fingers. I already knew what it said. I helped write it last year. Notice of intent to file civil suit. Assault. Public humiliation. Racial targeting. All the right boxes checked. Brad's face flushed red and pale at the same time. He looked up like someone had snatched his compass. "You're making a big mistake," he said, voice dry. Raul raised an eyebrow. "You think I just got here?" Brad looked around. The parking lot was still full. Cars passing. Phones recording from across the street. Even the pigeons seemed to be watching now. "I'll call the police," Brad stammered. Raoul smiled. "The slow kind. The dangerous kind. Please do." But Brad didn't move. He just stood there, gripping the paper like it might save him from sinking. Raoul leaned in slightly, voice soft but sharp enough to cut glass. "My people don't like bullies. Doesn't matter what side of the border they're on. You don't put your hands on one of us. Not without consequences." Brad swallowed. For once, he didn't have a comeback. Raoul turned to me. "Let's go. You don't owe this place another second." And that was it. No raised fists, no yelling, just presence. Power that didn't need volume. As we walked back toward the Suburban, I glanced over my shoulder. Brad was still standing there, statue still, holding his paper like it might rewrite the last 10 minutes. But it wouldn't. He had already written his part in ink. This is the turning point. Everything you've been waiting for? It's coming next. Stick around. You need to see how this ends, and how the hero made them all remember his name. The next morning, my face looked like I went 12 rounds with a raccoon, and lost. My cheek had swollen into a small reminder that some folks swing first, and think, well, never. I sat in Miss Rivera's kitchen, same place I always did after a grocery run. She still had the old linoleum floor that curled at the corners, and a ceramic rooster clock that ticked like it was mad at time. The woman sat across from me, wearing her house coat and slippers with pink bows, sipping tea like nothing in the world could shake her. Then she looked up, saw the bruise, and the cup stopped mid-air. "Oh, dear," she whispered. "What did they do to you now?" I shook my head. "It's handled." She narrowed her eyes, didn't say anything for a beat. Then, "You want sugar with that justice, or are you taking it plain?" That's the thing about her. Sweet as cane, but never fooled by calm water. Before I could answer, my phone lit up with notifications, video links, mentions, news clips. The story was moving faster than I could sip my coffee. That security footage? It didn't stay on Raoul's tablet for long. Someone, and I won't name names, made sure it found its way online. And once the internet gets a hold of something wrapped in injustice, seasoned with proof, and served hot with a side of outrage, you can bet it's gonna spread. First it hit TikTok, a 12-second clip titled, "Veteran Gets Hit Buying Lettuce." Then it hit Facebook, where the caption changed to, "This man took a punch so his neighbor could eat." And by noon, it was on the news. Local, national, then international. They ran the whole thing. Me getting questioned, shoved, punched, all while holding a head of lettuce like it was a crime. And Brad? Brad wasn't at Mart Plus anymore. By 2 p.m., the company released a statement. "You know the kind. We do not condone. Investigation pending. Respect for all customers." The usual PR curtain folks pull when they get caught with both shoes in the mud. But it was too late. The video was already being shared by veterans groups, civil rights orgs, grocery workers' unions, and every retired uncle with a grudge against bad manners. And the calls? They poured in. A reporter asked if I'd do a sit-down interview. Politely declined. A nonprofit asked me to speak to their youth leadership program. Said I'd think about it. But the one call that stuck with me came just before dinner. Unknown number. I picked up. "Mr. Stone," the voice said, calm, clear. "This is Deputy Mayor Franklin. Now, let me tell you, when someone calls you Mr. with that much emphasis, you know they've read every line of your file." I'd like to personally apologize for what happened. I was a Marine myself. No one should go through that, especially someone who served. I didn't say anything at first. He continued. There's going to be a formal statement from the city and a review of private security partnerships. Still, I stayed quiet because I wasn't looking for a medal. I wasn't chasing headlines. I just wanted folks to understand. This wasn't about one bad punch. It was about years of small things that added up. That moment in the store? That was just the latest domino in a chain built long before I ever picked up that lettuce. After I hung up, I stood by the window, watching the sun dip behind the neighbor's fence. It was quiet, peaceful even. Miss Rivera came up beside me. "You did good," she said, "even if you didn't throw a single punch back." I turned toward her. Didn't have to. The truth hit harder. And it did. The lawsuit went forward. Quietly, respectfully. Brad tried to push back, tried to find support. But even the folks who'd once nodded at him in the break room didn't want their names near his anymore. As for Raul, he went back to his life. Discreet. Professional. Still the kind of man you don't call unless you're serious. And me? I kept shopping for Miss Rivera. Kept walking with my head up. Kept showing up in the places some folks hoped I'd avoid. Because sometimes justice doesn't show up with a siren. Sometimes it rolls in matte black, steps out slow, and reminds the world that quiet people ain't weak. They're just patient. That paper Raul handed Brad, that wasn't just a lawsuit. That was a mirror. And Brad finally saw himself in it.